episode. Today I'm going to be teaching you all about the two different modes of wave development, or more specifically, motive and corrective waves. We'll get into how they form a complete cycle of 8 waves, and how waves are made up of other waves. I'll then give you a brief overview of how the notation and nomenclature of wave degree is really important when it comes to charting Elliott wave. So let's get right into it. Just a quick reminder before we get started, if you like this video, please click the like button below and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Alright, let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to cover here in part 2 of our Elliott Wave series are motive and corrective waves. Now if you haven't watched part 1, I'll put that in the top right corner right now. Go ahead and click that first and watch that video to get some context around what you're learning. If you've already seen that, great, keep on watching. So first up is motive waves. Motive waves are 5 wave structures, as you can see on the left here. In the larger trend of Elliott waves, the motive waves make up waves 1, 3, and 5. In Elliott wave, all waves make up other waves. So even though you see all of these numbers here to make up a motive wave, wave 1 is actually made up of a motive wave itself. We'll get more into this in just a few minutes here. The other type of wave is a corrective wave, made up of 3 waves, A, B, C. Waves 2 and 4 in larger degree trends are corrective waves. We call these 5 wave structures motive waves because they are what determines the direction of the market that we're moving in. They're the impulses that really push it forwards. And on the other hand, we call these corrective because they're correcting the impulses that occur. So in order to make up one complete cycle, we have 8 total waves. The 5 motive waves, and then the 3 corrective waves. So if I take the corrective wave and just drag it onto the end of the motive wave here, we actually have one cycle of 2 total waves now. It's extremely important to note that this 8 wave cycle can point in either direction of the market. So if our overall trend is upwards, you could still see this 8 wave cycle here, this 1, 2, in the downwards direction. That's because, as I was just saying, waves are made up of waves, and our overall cycle is made up of the waves that are 1 degree below it. So let's get into what I mean by waves are made up of other waves, and how do these degrees really play with each other. So as we were just looking at, I have a motive wave on the left here, a 5 wave structure, and a corrective wave on the right, a 3 wave structure. When I combine these together, they actually make up a 1, 2 on a higher degree. So this that you're looking at with the 1, 2 here is actually exactly the same as a 1, 2 right here. So if I were going to go ahead and label this, I would draw this entire thing here as a 1, this as a 2, and then 3, 4, 5 would be off screen. Now labeling gets super important because this degree, the original one we had, is actually 1 lower of a degree than the one we just drew, as in all 5 waves of this degree make up only 1 wave of this next wave that we just drew. So let's go ahead and move the degree up on this wave. If you go into the settings of the wave, click on degree, turn it to minute. Now it's easier to tell. I like to also change the color of the wave, so maybe we'll just do something like a blue for now. So it's much easier to distinguish between the two of them. So if you're following me, you can see that 5 waves here make up our 1 wave here, and then 3 waves make up our 2 wave here. So you might be thinking, what about this whole 5 wave structure? What makes up that? Well, it's exactly the same. Though it wasn't drawn out, it's almost implied that in order for this 1 wave to be valid, there actually has to be 5 waves inside of it also, looking something like that. And now this is going to be 1 degree lower than this. So I'll turn it to subminuet, and you can see that it is 1 degree lower than its parent green wave. I'll change the color of this one to represent that better. Similarly, this 2 wave is made up of 3 waves, an A, B, C as well, just like this larger degree 2 wave. The 3 wave, exactly the same as the 1. 5 waves make up this as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is on the same degree as this one. 5 waves make up this larger degree 1, 5 waves make up this larger degree 3, and as you'd expect, 5 waves make up this larger degree 5th wave. And similarly, the only one that I missed, this 4 wave, 3 waves make up this 4 wave. Now you could continue to keep on drawing on this over and over again. For example, 5 waves make up this little gray 1 here, 3 waves make up this gray 2, but then the chart just gets crowded. At some point, you just leave it like this, and it's implied what each of those makes up. So looking at an overall impulse made up of 5 waves, you now know what makes up the 1, the 3, and the 5, and you know that the 2 and the 4 are 3 waves that we're labeling A, B, and C. But actually, A, B, and C have their own subdivision inside of them as well. This is called a corrective wave, and there are multiple different patterns that are valid in order to make up an ABC. Right now I'm just going to show you the simplest one, which is just made up of 5 waves as the A, 3 waves as the B, and 5 waves as the C. It almost looks identical to 1, 2, 3 in our impulsive structure, but it only has those 3 waves and not the 4 and the 5. So let's draw out that example that I was showing you. Grab my 5-wave tool again, and our A wave is made up of a 5-wave structure. And remember that every 1 wave in our 5-wave structures are made up of 5 waves themselves. Again, we won't draw it because we don't want to clutter our chart. Every 2 wave is made up of 3 waves, another A, B, C. And this repeats over and over again for every 5-wave structure that you'll ever draw. The B wave is made up of a 3-wave structure, so it's another A, B, C. And I'll turn the degree down on this one so that we can better see it, and I will turn this to a different color as well. And finally, our C wave, also made up of 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The waves in this 5-wave follow the same pattern, and the waves in this ABC actually follow the same pattern as our overall ABC here. So we'd expect this little yellow A wave to have 5 waves, this little yellow B wave to have 3 waves, and this little yellow C wave to have 5 waves in our example. So with the 2 examples I've given you, you can kind of see what I meant by identifying 5 waves in a specific direction does not really tell you the overall trend. They are only relative to 1 degree above them. So even though this is 5 waves downwards here, it's only relative to this ABC. And we know that this ABC is actually only correcting a 5-wave pattern like we had before. Something like this. Turning up the degree and changing the color for visibility. So look at that. Our overall trend on this degree is upwards. And then we have an ABC that corrects it. So even though this is made up of 5 waves, our larger degree trend is still upwards relative to this blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive wave. So in summary, when we have an impulsive or actionary wave, it's in the same direction as the trend 1 degree higher than it. So this blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is upwards. The trend of the degree above it is upwards. This is making an impulse that would then propel us forwards again with the next impulse of 1 degree higher. This is the 1 wave, the 2 wave, and the 3 wave would send us even higher. And on the other side, reactionary waves or corrective waves are against the direction of the trend on a degree 1 higher. So this blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and this red ABC are in the same overall degree as this is the 1 and this is the 2. Our corrective wave goes against the direction of the overall trend 1 degree higher. So while I was drawing out the examples, you probably noticed that all of our motive waves are drawn with actual numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all of our corrective waves are drawn with letters, A, B, C. This nomenclature is intentional and established. This structure of choosing numbers and letters was really created for rapid visual orientation, so that when looking at a chart, you can quickly see that this is the impulse and this is the reaction. just by seeing that these are numbers and these are letters. It's important to follow this structure. The other thing you notice that I was briefly going over as I was creating these is that there are many different degrees you can set these levels on. And since we have waves inside of waves, getting these degrees correct is really important for understanding where we are in the larger cycle. So if you just open the settings here and choose degree, you can see how many different degrees there are. Now, where we actually are in degrees is not super important. For example, it doesn't matter if we're currently in the cycle or if we're currently in a sub-millennium. The more important thing to understand is when a big move is coming in a large degree setting. We want to make sure that we're correctly labeling every single one of our waves relative to every other waves in terms of the degree that we choose in order to keep our chart straight and accurate. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please do click the like button below. It helps me out a ton, and it allows me to keep creating great content for you guys. If you'd like to see part 3, leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll be glad to create that for you. And as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of any future content as soon as it comes out.